All right, we're starting at 12:32 and 16 seconds. She hits John. She doesn't stop. She immediately takes off. Here's 34 Fairview up here, and 1 Meadows Drive is down here.
Nobody knows what the fuck you want, you fucking pervert.
Karen's explaining how small the front yard at 34 Fairview is.
Did you have a vehicle at that time?
I did.
And what kind of vehicle did you have?
I believe it was a Ford Fusion.
At that time, he had a very old, I want to say like 2012 Ford Taurus.
The Ford Fusion.
So that's why he took my car, because the Taurus
The Ford Fusion.
wouldn't have been good in the snow.
I was 10 and 2 the whole time.
10 and 2.
John, I'm here with your fucking kids.
Can you repeat the question, please? I don't remember. Can you elaborate? I don't recall.
What was the reason that you went back to 34 Fairview to pick her up and bring her home?
Well, she's high maintenance. I didn't really want to have to deal with it.
She wanted to come home, is that correct?
Yes.
Commonwealth recalls Nick Garino. Your Honor, I'll inform this will be the last recall for Mr. Garino.
Trooper Nicholas Garino, Guarino.
There he is, the Italian tech wizard for the Massachusetts State Troopers. He's on the stand for the 12th time in trial number 2. Let's listen.
12:35:35, the defendant calls John. It's not answered. 12:36:09 a.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered.
Trooper Garino, let me stop you there for a second. Did you look into any internet connection between the defendant's phone and the router and the internet connection at Meadows Ave, John O'Keefe's home that night?
One of the biggest flaws in the prosecution's case with regard to Karen Reed striking John O'Keefe with her SUV is that John O'Keefe was walking around at 12:32. However, we are certain Karen Reed is back at John's house at 12:36 and 23 seconds, making it virtually impossible for her to have traveled from 34 Fairview to 1 Meadows Ave, John's house. And that's exactly why Hank snuck this question in without a visual in order to workshop something that is super negative to this case. He knows that the fact that Karen Reed's phone connected to John's Wi-Fi at 12:36 and 39 seconds makes this case impossible for Karen to have committed this crime.
Yes, at 12:36:39 a.m., the defendant's phone auto connects to the Wi-Fi Patsfam 123.
We know that my client arrived back at John O'Keefe's residence at 1 Meadows Ave in Canton at 12:41 a.m.
Notice how critical time and preparation is. At this point, David Yanetti's arguing that he knows Karen Reed was back at the house at 12:41. That would make it very possible for her to have committed this crime. Of course, he didn't have all the documents and information available, but you have to be careful when you're making these representations. However, if you obtain information or documents that contradicts your original representation, that's fine. You quickly admit to it and then put in the evidence, especially if it helps you.
Are you familiar with the router at Mr. O'Keefe's home?
I have not done a look at it in person, but that's the known network that's listed under it. There's two, Patsfam 123 and O'Keefe 74.
You learn the range that a connection must be in order to connect to his router?
Yes, so depending on the router, it's either a 2.4 gigahertz or a 5 gigahertz radio band, or signal band, I should say.
Hank's asking a very critical question to this Italian IT tech wizard. He wants him to say, hey, you can connect to that Wi-Fi a mile, 2 miles away, but we all know you got to be very close or virtually in the house before it actually connects.
Depending on which one it's connecting to, which band, it's either 150-foot indoor range or up to 300 feet outdoor.
And old Hank and Nikki G definitely planned this out because they know this destroys their entire case.
Again, when you pull into your home, sometimes you can still be connected to your home Wi-Fi in the driveway.
And again, can you give us the time of the connection between the defendant's phone and Mr. O'Keefe's router at Meadows Ave that night?
Yes, 12:36:39 a.m.
Please continue.
At 12:36:40 a.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered. At 12:37:08 a.m., the defendant calls John, and voicemail number 1 is left with voice.
Ms. Gilman, would you kindly play the voicemail for 12:37:08?
At 12:41:35 a.m., the defendant calls John. Voicemail number 2 is left. Some beeping noises, appears to be a butt dial or accidental call.
We know that my client arrived back at John O'Keefe's residence at 1 Meadows Ave in Canton at 12:41 a.m. because the Commonwealth produced a voicemail that she left for John, where you can hear the garage door closing.
Look at the difference between 12:41 and 12:36 and 39 seconds. That's the entire case. Hank knows it. Everyone else knows it, but just at this time, David wasn't aware of it because he didn't have access to the documents and information necessary to make that determination.
Car door closing, the house door closing while she walked in her high heels on the garage floor. One Meadows is about a mile from the Canton Library. We know the video equipment was working because they have that footage from 12:16 a.m. But in the video that the prosecution turned over to us, there is a gap in that video from 12:37 a.m. to 12:39 a.m., which would have been the precise time my client would have been driving back past the library.
David's 100% wrong, and he's grateful for it. There's no way Karen's car would be seen in front of the Canton Library between the times for which he's claiming the video does not exist. This is actually great news that he was wrong here.
Ms. Gilman, could you play?
This is the 1241 message for which David was relying upon. Imagine the difference and the effectiveness of having an actual timestamp, that 12:36:39 timestamp, which indicates Karen has to be at the house, compared to this 12:41 voicemail for which you only hear walking.
The defendant then texts John O'Keefe at 12:55:31 a.m. on the 29th. I'm going home. 12:59:24 a.m. The defendant calls John. Voicemail number 3 is left with voice.
John, I'm here with your fucking kids. Nobody knows what the fuck you are, you fucking pervert.
So when John got out of the car at Brian Albert's house, he took my full vodka soda, which is sitting in the cup holder. I gave an interview with ABC with Matt Gutman. I think this was who I gave the interview to. He asked, why was I saying, could I hit him, did I hit him? And I said, yeah, my first thought was, I've been out late, I've been drinking, and he's in the general vicinity of where I last saw him. I mean, they talk about the left side of the property and the right as if it's Hammersmith Farms. It's a postage stamp. It's 50 feet. He's in the front yard to the left of the front door, and no one's moving out of the house. Jen's telling me nobody's seen him. So I'm thinking, Jesus, was I trying to pull away and I ran over his foot? Like, he's roughly where I left him. So yeah, when I found him, I was thinking, did I clip him somehow?
Karen's explaining how small the front yard at 34 Fairview is, and what she's saying is indicative of an innocent person. She would never believe that somehow he was killed inside of the house at that time. We went through why that logic was faulty, because she should have known that the one person that was in love with her and the one person that is seen taunting John O'Keefe 30 minutes before he was attacked at 34 Fairview, the one guy that was in love with her,
Brian Higgins,
was in that house, and he's among the 10 potential people in the entire world that could have killed John O'Keefe.
I didn't think I hit him, but I clipped him, could I tapped him in the knee and incapacitated him. He didn't look mortally wounded as far as I could see, but could I have done something that knocked him out and in drunkenness and in the cold did he come to again?
Here's 34 Fairview up here, and One Meadows Drive is down here. There are 2 potential paths to take. The shortest one is 2.3 miles, and according to Google, takes 6 minutes. You have to remember that it is at night, and the roads are slick because the snow had started to fall. According to the beautiful Intelligent Tuesday and the rest of her co-hosts, at 12:32 and 16 seconds, John O'Keefe's phone stops moving for the last time. That would indicate exactly when Karen Reed hit him with her SUV. If that beautiful Tuesday is correct, Karen Reed has to make it back to One Meadows Avenue by 12:36 and 39 seconds, giving her 4 minutes and 23 seconds to make the drive. Let's see if she can do it. Luckily for us, a huge fan already made the drive. We're going to speed it up 4 times to show you exactly what Karen Reed would have been looking at, except it would have been dark and there was some snow on the ground. Let's watch. All right, we're starting at 12:32 and 16 seconds. She hits John. She doesn't stop. She immediately takes off. And this is the path she would have took. Let's speed it up a little bit. In our final calculations, we are going to assume that Karen Reed did not stop or slow down for any stop signs or went right through any red lights if she had any. Let's keep watching. And when we talk about 2.3 miles, it's not a straightaway. Obviously, if you're on a highway, you can do it. This drive requires several stops for which you have to slow down and eventually stop. As I said earlier, we're going to assume that Karen would hit any kids and drive right through a red light just because we want to get the exact time for which she could do this if she was a professional driver driving as fast as potentially possible based upon the geographic location. And again, we're assuming that Karen didn't even slow down for any red lights. And there it is, the finish line. And it's the nail in the coffin to the prosecution's case. There is no way Karen Reed could have hit John O'Keefe with her vehicle and then made it to One Meadows Avenue without being a professional driver, driving at over 55 miles an hour, barely slowing down, running through every single red light, and never stopping for any of the stop signs, making it impossible for her to have hit John O'Keefe with her SUV at 12:32 and make it all the way back to John O'Keefe's house at 12:36. We see what Hank did. It's classic workshopping. We teach when you have a negative issue in your case. And this was huge for Hank Brennan. He knew it. He realized it. Oh, Lally didn't care. Hank did. He brought it up straight away with his own witness, and he didn't bring us any visuals. Of course, this is the most important timepiece with regard to Karen Reed hitting John O'Keefe with her SUV, which is physically impossible. Now we know the real killer,
Brian Higgins,
was infatuated with Karen Reed and eventually turned that infatuation to anger towards John O'Keefe, who probably went to 34 Fairview knowing there could have been an altercation. But either way, we will never, listen closely, Brian Higgins, ever stop producing these videos until the real killer,
Brian Higgins,
is brought to justice.
I kissed Brian Higgins the other night. I love you, gay Jeff.
I didn't do it.
I had nothing to do with John's death.
Loophole lawyer is the most disgusting law tuber of them all.